Hi everyone, Dwayne Boswell O'Shell here, and as you can see, I've got a different background behind me. I'm actually in my office in downtown Houston, coming to you live today. And it's been a couple weeks since I've been on here, so missed everyone. I was in trial the last 2 weeks. Kind of a cool situation. I had trial in Beaumont while sitting in my home in League City, and was able to get the whole trial done without ever leaving the comfort of my own home. So that is a positive thing that's come out of the COVID pandemic, is we're able to handle cases all over the state now, as long as we can get the virtual um, hearings and trials. So, but today, we're coming into February. Valentine's Day is just right around the corner, and probably one of the best things that you can do in a marriage is actually have a marital agreement. Now, I'm sure I get a lot of people saying, "Hey, but if I get ask my fiance or my spouse to sign a marital agreement concerning what's going to happen with our property, that just shows that I don't trust that our marriage is going to last." Well, that's not necessarily true. It can actually help a marriage survive, surprisingly enough. Um, there's all different things that can happen with either a prenup or a postnuptial agreement. Just also what we can call a partition agreement. It's basically an agreement between spouses or soon-to-be spouses of how their property is going to work. Are we going to create community property? You can have an agreement where you actually convert everything, separate property, into community property. And then it'll say how things will happen if you guys ever split up, what's going to happen with the property. And sometimes that can be enough to encourage people to work on a marriage a little bit more, already knowing what's going to happen. It can also convert separate property into community property. So now you've got all this separate property that you're essentially gifting to your spouse or soon to be the spouse, so that they get everything. We're not worrying about separate property or community property. If anything ever happens, you've got this agreement that lines out exactly how everything is going to be split if you guys ever do break up. Now, I always hear from a lot of my business coaches and friends, failure to plan is a plan to fail. That applies to any relationship. So marriage is hard work, and it's you're going to be usually one of the biggest breakup factors in a marriage centers around money. So if you've already dealt with those situations and how you're going to handle anything that comes up in regards to property or money, that takes that stress off. You guys have already planned on how things are going to work, and you're able to just enjoy each other, not be fighting about, are we going to keep our money separate? How are bills going to be paid? You can put that into a marital agreement. This one account and each put money into it to pay these bills. So it's kind of a cool tool that can be used where you can say, well, we're going to keep all of our property separate no matter what, but we're going to put money into this account, and this account is going to pay these bills. Now, some reasons you might want to do this, obviously if you have, most people think of a prenup as somebody that's coming into the marriage has a lot more property, money than the other spouse, and it's protecting them. Well, that's one reason to do it. What if we have one spouse that's coming in with a lot of debt? A way to protect the other spouse from any creditors coming after anything is to have this agreement put in place. What if we have, one spouse that maybe has a gambling problem? This will protect the assets as well for the other spouse. And just know that if you do a prenup and the marriage doesn't go through, then the prenup doesn't ever come into existence. It's also a good idea to do what we call a postnup after marriage, just to kind of solidify how that the prenup is going to be valid throughout the marriage. Another reason you might want to enter into an agreement is if you have children from a prior relationship. It helps protect inheritance for them as well. So those are just a few reasons why you might want to consider having a marital agreement. It's also a good idea if we have one spouse that has a business. If something happens with that business, a lot of times that spouse is given some personal guarantees, and it will protect the other spouse against any creditors that might come after that business, or the business owner spouse for any debts that are unpaid. So there's a lot of different reasons why you might want to consider doing a marital agreement. It's not for everyone, but everyone can get one. And it doesn't mean that that's going to guarantee, or it shouldn't send the message that you think that this marriage isn't going to work, or it's going to fail at some point. It actually should be the message of, let's plan for the success of our marriage, and that's really what these agreements can ensure. So anybody wants any more information on this? Oh, I would also say, there's a statistic out there that I read that, first marriages end in divorce roughly about 50% of the time. Second marriages is more into the 60s, third marriages into the 70s. So, your percentages go up. About 11% of individuals have a prenuptial agreement that they put in place. So it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get divorced, but it can actually help save the marriage. So if you want any more information, just reach out to me. You can send me a message on Facebook, and I will be happy to provide any information on that or answer any questions. You can also reach out to me at service@boswelltexaslaw.com, and we'll get you some information on that as well. So I hope everyone has a good weekend and stay safe. The weather in Houston's not the best today, but everybody just enjoy your weekend, and congratulations to people for getting engaged this month. This is a big month for engagements. So we will see you next week, and thank you all for joining me.